Hey there, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the ocean, specifically, why is it salty? If this question has ever crossed your mind, then today's video is for you. Let's start with a little ocean fact. Did you know that the ocean covers more than 70% of our planet? That's a lot of salty water, but where did all that salt come from? You may already know that most of the water on Earth is found in the ocean. About 97% of Earth's water is salt water. Only about 3% of Earth's water is freshwater. And you would be right, because the ocean is salty. If you were to take a big sip, it wouldn't taste very good. In fact, if you were to chug a glass of seawater, you would probably spit it out pretty quickly. So how do we know how salty the ocean is? We can measure the amount of salt in a body of water by measuring something called salinity. Salinity is defined as the total amount of dissolved solids in a body of water. When we talk about the salinity of the ocean, we mean the amount of salt dissolved in seawater. The salinity of the ocean is about 3.5%, which means that for every 100 grams of seawater, there are about 3.5 grams of salt. And you'd be right, because the ocean is salty. If you were to take a big sip, it wouldn't taste very good. In fact, if you were to chug a glass of seawater, you would probably spit it out pretty quickly. It might seem like a lot of salt, but it's actually just enough sodium to make a solution as salty as tears. So how does the salt get into the ocean? Over millions of years, rain, rivers, and even rocks have carried salt from the Earth's crust into the ocean. Rain and rivers can pick up salt from rocks and soil and carry it to the ocean. When it rains, the water soaks into the ground and picks up minerals, including salt, from rocks and soil. The water then flows into rivers and eventually makes its way to the ocean. As the water travels over land, it also picks up salts from rocks and soil. As the water evaporates, it leaves behind the salts, which eventually make their way into the ocean. Over millions of years, this process has resulted in the salty ocean we have today. But why doesn't the ocean get saltier or less salty over time? As more and more salt is added to the ocean, you would think that it would eventually become too salty. However, the ocean has a balance of salt and water. When the amount of salt becomes too high, water evaporates from the ocean. This process removes some of the salt from the ocean, keeping the salinity at a relatively constant level. In addition to rain and rivers, rocks and soil also contribute to the salinity of the ocean. As rocks and soil erode, they release ions such as sodium and chloride, which make up salt. These ions are then carried into the ocean by rain and rivers. The ocean is a dynamic system that is constantly changing. However, the salinity of the ocean has remained relatively stable over time. This is due to a balance of factors such as rainfall, river flow, evaporation, and the exchange of water between the ocean and atmosphere. So now you know how the ocean got its salt and why it stays salty. But here's one last fun fact. Did you know that the ocean has a memory? It remembers the climates of the past. By studying the chemistry of deep ocean water, scientists can learn about past climates. So next time you take a dip in the ocean, remember that you're not just swimming in salty water, you're swimming in history. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you learned something new. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. And be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye.